So hello everyone. Are we ready to get started?
Yeah, Gary, can you see my screen? I'm presenting the deck here.
I do. I can see
Okay.
your title page. So looks like we
Yeah.
still have some people joining, but I think I think we should get started because I know you have a tight timeline here. So um,
Yeah.
okay, sound
We
good?
can.
Good. So welcome everybody. Again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure where everybody is, but so we have a tight timeline today for our webinar. I'm not going to go through each of the items, but you can see at a high level, we do have a break built in here, but we are going to go through 5 different labs today as we go through Power Platform, Power BI. So looking forward to it. So go ahead, Ryan, if you want to go to the next one. So we do have some prerequisites. I think hopefully those got sent out to you. And if you do want to follow along and actually do the workshops, there are some things you'll have to have set up. That's here in front of you. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we can answer as we go through. So anyway, these are the prereqs for today's workshop. Go ahead, Ryan. So we have multiple speakers today. My name is Gary Christ. I'm the Vice President of the Microsoft Dynamics and Power Platform the practice here at Cambay. We have Bill Morton, the Director of Sales, and then we have our folks today that are actually going to be handling the workshop. They can introduce themselves as we get a little further along here. They'll have an opportunity to before they start their workshop. All right, if you want to go to the next slide. So Bill, I think you were going to take over from here. If you want to introduce yourself and talk about who we are, then we can keep going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Morton, and I've got about 30 years or so in the IT field, consulting primarily in professional services and managed services. And I'd like to kind of tell you just a little bit about who Cambay is today. We're real proud of the fact that we've recently crossed over that 10-year milestone of delivering transformational services to our customers. We've actually been in business for almost 20 years now at this point in other consulting areas, but really within the last 10 years, we've been focusing in this particular area. And as you all know, in this particular day and age, 10 years is a long time. We also have about 1,300 consultants that are working for the organization, both in an onshore and an offshore global delivery capacity. So it provides us with a very unique opportunity to be able to provide some very aggressive price points to our customers, as well as to be able to provide some very quick turns as it relates to business transformation efforts today. We're very proud of the fact that we have over 100 customers today, and we've delivered over 250 different projects in a variety of different natures, providing a great deal of capability to our customers. We're also one of Microsoft's managed partners, which for those of you that aren't aware as to what that means, it really just means that out of the 300 or so partners that Microsoft, or 300 or so thousand partners or so that Microsoft has, we're one of the top 100 partners and have special funding and special support capabilities to add to our customers' needs. In addition to that, we've been growing at a very fast rate. So for the last 4 years, we are one of 8,500's fastest growing private organizations. So very proud of who we are and what we're doing for our customers today. Next slide, please. With that, we really focus in 6 different areas. However, we are a Microsoft 3 Cloud partner, which means that we have very deep vertical market capabilities in Azure, modern collaboration, and Dynamics, as well as we have a practice in business information and analytics, which is a bit unusual for some organizations. So we have that very, very deep vertical capability. But in addition to that, we also have that horizontal capability. And as all of you know, data today inside of organizations really just doesn't fall inside of one part of our business. It exists throughout our business. And so it's important that we be able to have that capability not only to take advantage of each of the three clouds, but to be able to link that information together to drive productivity. For those customers who prefer, we also have an opportunity to be able to provide a managed services infrastructure to them. So we can take everything that we do for our customers and manage it for them. We can also manage their existing environments. So a considerable amount of opportunity there. But I spoke earlier about the fact that we really started in this business in a different area, and that was really kind of in that engineering space. And so we have a very deep practice and understanding also as it relates to engineering services, where we provide conceptual design, application manufacturing, and aftermarket engineering. And with that, that's really what I wanted to introduce you to as far as CAB services were concerned today. I will be here with you throughout the course of the day and look forward to spending some time with you. With that, we'll go ahead and introduce our keynote speakers now.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Raghav Vedangi. I am practice head Azure Analytics at Cambay. I have been working in IT industry for more than 25 years, mostly in the Microsoft data technologies. And over the last 10 years, I have been aggressively working on Azure and Power BI engagements. So that's about me. Prashant.
Hi all, I am Prashant Patte. I am BI and Analytics Architect at Cambay Consulting. I have over 14 years of experience in modern workspace using Azure Stack. That's about myself.
Thank you, Prashant. So before we go into the session, there is a quick poll we want to conduct. Prashant, can you launch it?
Yeah.
So we'll wait for 10 seconds and then we'll move on. All right, we move on to the next part of the session. All right. So today we are conducting a Dashboard in a Day workshop, which is a 4-hour hands-on workshop. We'll start with a brief introduction about Power BI and its capabilities. And the rest of the session mostly is hands-on, all right? So it covers a set of labs, up to 5 labs, which covers end-to-end scenarios in order to build a Power BI solution. The content that we have shared with you is from Microsoft. I hope you people got a chance to download it. It's purely from Microsoft, and the way we want to conduct this session is we'll be walking you through the labs from our end, but also at the same time we recommend you to do the labs from your end. And in case if you have any questions, you can drop a message in the chat window. We'll respond back to you, right? So coming to the Power BI. So Power BI is a business analytics service on cloud powered by Microsoft as software as a service platform. So it's a collection of services, apps, and connectors. When I talk about services, it is the Power BI service on the cloud. And then apps mean you have mobile apps. Connectors, there are more than 100 connectors available within Power BI to connect to a variety of data sources. And Power BI supports connectivity to a variety of data sources, be it your relational databases, big data sources, or flat files residing on your machine, or you can connect to hybrid connectivity, such as on-premise data sources or cloud data sources. You can integrate your data from multiple data sources, right? You can connect to more than one data source in Power BI, and then you can clean the data, transform the data, and you can build your own model. We'll also look at how these things being done. And visualize or discover what's important. Power BI supports variety of visuals out of box, like charts, tables, matrix, maps. There are certain views that you can generally drag and drop, and then you can pull the elements from the data, and then you can interactively explore with the data. In addition to that, yes, you can build fancy reports, which you can publish it to collaborate with your colleagues in your organization. And finally, share and collaborate with your colleagues. So with Power BI, you have an option to share your reports or publish your reports to the cloud service, and then you can share the reports with your colleagues in organization or with the entire organization. So on the left side, if you look at a quick graphical view of how it looks like end to end, so you can access the data using Power BI data connectors. You can clean the data, you can mash up, like you can integrate from one or more sources, and you can build your own unified model. And you can explore the data, you can do interactive exploration on the data, and you can build visualizations, you can build reports, and finally you can share or publish to the cloud service. Power BI components, there are three primary components within Power BI. The Power BI desktop, it is a free desktop-based tool that you can download from Microsoft. Using Power BI desktop, you can connect to a variety of data sources, and you can build your reports, and you can publish those reports to the cloud. There is another component, Power BI service. This is an online service. It is also known as Power BI Online, which is a software as a service component of Power BI. So when you publish your reports, they reside in the online service, and from where you will be able to consume the data using a web browser or using your mobile applications. So the last component is Power BI Mobile. You can securely access and view live Power BI dashboards on the go. So there are mobile apps available on Play Stores of Android or iOS. You can download them, you can connect to Power BI service, and you can visualize the reports. You can also receive alerts on the reports while you are on the go. So that's the advantage with Power BI, and Power BI is optimized for mobile reporting as well. Power BI concepts, these are like building blocks of Power BI. Visualizations, as I mentioned, there are a variety of visuals out of box available. We can use those visualizations to build our reports, or you can interactively explore with the data. In addition to that, you can also extend the functionality by adding custom visuals from the app source, which is like a marketplace for Power BI. There are a variety of visuals available contributed by community. You can make use of that. You can add those visuals into your canvas, and then you can extend your reporting functionality. So data sets, a data set is a collection of data from one or more sources. So Power BI has a variety of connectors that we already talked about, over 135 connectors. You can use them, you can build data sets on top of it, you can refresh the data periodically, and these data sets feed data to your reports. Dashboards, it's a single page collection of metrics or key performance indicators. Usually the executives will be the target audience for dashboards. So they get the performance of an organization or the sales performance in one page, all right? And from dashboards, you can drill through the details too. So tiles are another way to organize your visuals on dashboard. So you have a tile on a dashboard, you can resize, you can add a visual to the tile, you can resize the tile, you can reorder the tile, you can reorganize the visualization experience altogether. Any questions, sorry? Let's move on. The last component is Workspace, which is a container for all your data sets, reports, and dashboards. So there are two types of containers available in Power BI. One is My Workspace, and the other is App Workspace. So My Workspace is a private container, but in case if you need to share and collaborate with your colleagues in organization, we generally use App Workspace. So we'll definitely cover most of these topics as we move into the lab, right? So with that, we complete the about the Power BI introduction. And before getting on to the labs, we'll also do a quick demo of how a Power BI report looks like and how do we interact with that actually, right? So let me share my screen. So I hope you're able to see my screen now. So you can see the report, which is a pre-built report. It contains a variety of visuals, a nice background with a nice theme. You have an image on the report, the logo of Van Arstel. Then we have the title of the report. And then the report has two different pages, right? One is by market analysis and by manufacturer analysis. So we'll look into that. And there are a few visuals that you can see here. So let's start with understanding each of these visuals briefly. We have Slicer that can slice your data by number of years. So if I choose 7 by default here, it shows me the data for last 7 years that I have in the model. I can choose to use 5 years of data, and then it can filter to 5 years, right? And then I have a card visual here. This is the type of visual, and it is very useful for scenarios like this, where in this case, we are using what is Van Arstel's market share, overall market share. So this is the value that I can see here. And then there is a vertical bar chart that represents growth by manufacturer. And then we have a nice Bing map visual here, which plots all the data points of the manufacturers where they operate, right, the markets where they operate. If I click on any of these, I can see the data is getting filtered accordingly because it has narrowed down to North America. So if you click on Australia, the data is narrowed down to Australia. And you can also highlight to see what is the revenue of Australia. And accordingly, you can see what is the overall Van Arstel market share in Australia. Apart from that, you also have an option to drill down. When I click on drill down, when I enable drill down here, I can drill down by various cities or states within Australia. And I can again see what values each of these have. And I can return back to the normal view. I can drill up to the normal view. And then I have a line chart visual here, which talks about revenue by year and manufacturer. So we have all the manufacturers here, including Van Arstel. And the line chart indicates how the values are changing over a period of time. So from 2014 onwards to 2020, we can see how the values are plotted here. And then we have a scatter chart that actually talks about revenue versus growth by category, segment, and year. So I can see the growth is plotted vertically and revenue on the horizontal axis. And we can see the data points for category, segment, and then we can play for multiple years here. So if I highlight one of these bubble here, I can see what is the category it is representing, what is the segment, and what is the year, and percentage growth and revenue. And also have an option to play. When I enable this, it will play across all the years. So I can pause it sorry, I can pause it and see for 2015. So this is what the details. This is what the details for this particular category. And I can move on. I can pause accordingly and visualize further, right? Okay, and then there is one more option that I want to show. There is an option called drill down, drill through, sorry. So when I drill through, it will take me to the next page. And here we can see another set of visuals. One of the important feature I want to show here is when I click here, I can also see a drop-down menu, which I can select by different manufacturers. So I select Van Arstel, and then accordingly the plot changes, the data changes here. So I have a visual, gauge visual. This talks about revenue versus the target. And similarly, I can minimize this back. And then there is a vertical bar with a line. So this one actually represents revenue versus percentage growth across all the years. And then we have a matrix here and with a conditional formatting. And then yes, we can see Australia here because we'll drill through by Australia. You're seeing Australia is highlighted here, right? And if I drill through by North America, it's filtered to USA. Okay, so these are the capabilities that we can see. And if I want to go back, I click here, I go back to the main page. Okay. And one other visual, we will be talking about these visuals as well in the labs as we move forward. But this visual actually is a play axis, one of the custom visual we downloaded from Marketplace. So it plays around every whatever value you choose here. For example, if I choose an year, it slices the data by each year. It automatically plays for every year, like 2014 onwards 2020. It will play for each year, and then values accordingly get refreshed here. So with that, we are done with the demo. Now we can move on to the lab. So the lab overview. So we have around 5 labs we'll be covering. Initially, we'll start with loading the data and doing some transformations as we load the data into the model. Then we go and then the next lab will be about exploring certain visuals, also enhancing the data model by adding some calculations in the model. And we'll have visualization lab and then collaboration lab following that. So lab 1, accessing and preparing the data. So here in this lab, what we'll do is we'll open a blank Power BI desktop solution, and then we load data from multiple data sources. As you see here, you can also combine multiple files and build your own model. Okay, so we'll look into that. Then we'll define some calculations, and then we'll also see how we can enhance the model. Okay. So, with that, let me move to the Power BI desktop. So this is Power BI desktop application which I downloaded from Microsoft site, and this is how it looks like. You have a canvas here, and then you have a set of visualizations, and this is the data area. We haven't loaded the data yet, so this is empty right now, but we'll see how it gets populated. So before we get into the lab, we need to understand the data, what we are trying to load here. So I go to the data folder under DIAD folder, and there are 2 folders which we need to look at. US sales. Under US sales, I have a sales file, which is a CSV file, and then I have BI dimensions, which is an Excel file. So let's see what exactly the files contain. So we have 3 different sheets in the file, and each of the sheet represents one entity, or we also call dimensions in dimensional model. So product is one dimension or one entity, which contains the product ID. And if you see here, it's a concatenation of two fields. The first one before the pipe delimiter, this is the product, and the other one is the segment. So we need to separate this when we actually load the data into the model. And then we have a category called mix. So the category is populated only once instead of every line here, but all these products belong to the same category. And thereafter, the rural category starts, and it is the same thing. We will see how to handle this thing as well. And who is the manufacturer of these products? Okay, so in this case, the manufacturer ID is part of a product dimension. Ideally, manufacturer will be a separate dimension, is a separate entity altogether. But because there is a unique combination of manufacturer and product, it makes sense to be here. So that's why we have manufacturer ID as part of this sheet. And then what is the price of this particular product? So this is the information we can see here. And also, if you note, this is a name table. If I go to the table design, it's named as product table, right? So this is a name table. It's nicely formatted. And if I go to the manufacturer, you can see the manufacturer sheet is aligned column-wise instead of rows. Generally, we look at this format, right? A row-wise arrangement. But here we have data arranged in columnar fashion, and then we have some additional data. We'll see when we load how the data looks like and how do we need to transform this. And geo is geography, and again you see a row-wise structure here. Though it is a row-wise, it is not a table. There is no table, or it's not formatted as a table. And we see like there is some information on the top of this file on the sheet. And then we have zip, city, state, region, district, and country. And country repeats several times, and zip seems to be unique, right? This is a unique value for this particular entity. Okay, so I'll close this and then look at sales quickly to see how it looks like. Okay, so I have sales data loaded. You have thousands of combinations and you have millions of rows in the file. And so you can see these are different transactions that have taken place for this particular product, where product ID is 1076, and on this particular date, and from this particular location, 1 unit has been purchased of this particular product, and this is the revenue. So likewise, you can see a combination of transactions here, all the sales that are recorded in the system. Okay, and all this data is anonymized data. It's not the real data, so we are okay to do this analysis. And then we look at another folder called international sales. So in this case, these are the countries where Van Astel and its competitors are operating. And we have data for each file separately. And let's look at one of the files, like Australia, for example. So the data is isolated by each country. And this data looks exactly the same. The structure is exactly the same like what we saw for US sales. However, we see like there is one additional column called country, just to indicate that this data belongs to this particular country. When we merge or combine all the data from different countries, we need to tag the data to a particular country, right? So that's why this field is important. And we'll see how we can handle this. All right, so with that, we are done with understanding the files. Let's move on to the Power BI desktop and load some data. So there is a menu item called Get Data. This is the starting point. So because we want to load a CSV, I choose CSV option here, and I'll go to data folder US sales, and I'll load sales data for US first. And if you look at it, just shown a preview of the data, and it identified what locale the file belongs to. what is the delimiter of the file, and based on the first 200 rows, it also identified some data types for the data for each column here. So you can see like there are three options here, whether you want to cancel or you want to proceed with the load or transform data. When you load, it will load data as is without any transformations. But if you need to do some transformation, you click on transform data. As I want to do some transformation, I have clicked on that. All right, so if I look at the data here, I see the columns are properly identified. All the headers are available. Product ID is a numerical value, which is fine. Date is identified as a date type, which is also fine. Then zip actually, zip is not a numerical. It identified as a numerical because there are some leading zeros in some cases. And that's why it ignored the zeros and identified this as an integer or a numeric value. So we need to convert this, or we need to transform this to text type data. So for that, I will be choosing text as an option. And the moment I do this, I get a pop-up saying you want to replace. So I'll add a replace. When I do a replace, you can see how the things are changing here. So it added a transformation step called change type. So I changed from numeric to text value. So I see one step got added here. And if I think that I have made a mistake, you always can go back by deleting this. So it will revert back to the original data type. And we can see how these steps keep changing as we make changes in the transformations. So the other one is units, which is numerical, and we are okay with this. Revenue is properly formatted, which is fine. Now let's load the data in the Excel. Okay, so after loading the Excel file, it shows me all the sheets the file has. But in case of product, I see like there are two tables populated here. Let's see what is the difference between them. So I'll click on product table and I see that it is exactly matching the name table. This is the name table actually. It is matching the name table structure. And this looks to be more organized. And if I look at the data here, you see that it is slightly misaligned. The header is missing. So we need to change, promote this to header. But since we already have this in nice format, we can ignore this. I will go ahead and load the data from product table. I select that. And let's look at geography. And as we have noticed in the file, there were two line items, which actually we need to remove because we need to get data only from the third row. And the third row has to be promoted as header, okay? And the data starts from fourth row. So let's load geo also and see how we can make changes here. And let's look at manufacturer. And as we have seen, manufacturer again, like it's organized by columns. And these last three rows, they need to be cleaned up. We need to remove them. So let's load manufacturer as well. And let's go ahead. Right. So we have all the four tables that are loaded into the model. Let's also load all the country-wise sales data. So I click on this option and I choose a folder. And the reason I'm choosing folder is all these files are located in one single folder. I need to choose a folder so that all these files become part of the transformation. So I'll choose data folder, international sales, and I'll load the data. And if you look at here, it brings the metadata about each of the files which are in the folder. So Australia, Canada, Germany, and all these files, and you can see what other properties of the file. This is the metadata basically. And you see one more option to combine it. We want to combine all these files into one single table because they're structurally same. Data is different for each country, but they're structurally same. So we want to combine and transform. Right. So similar to what we have seen earlier for sales, we got a similar view here. But here, since we have multiple files, we take the first file as the sample, and we have all the data loaded here. Sorry, we profiled the first 200 rows, and now we need to load the data into the model. Right. Now we can see we have sales from US, we have the product entity, we have geography, we have manufacturer, and we have international sales for all the countries. Let's look at quickly, like whether all countries are appearing here or not. I do a sample load, which actually pulls the data into memory, and then it will show you. Yeah, we can see data from Australia, Canada, Germany, Japan, Mexico, and Nigeria. All are available here. So I click OK, and then so I see there is an additional column which Power BI has added. We don't need this column actually. We don't do any analysis on this. I'm going to ignore this. I'm going to remove it. So I can right click and remove it. There are other options as well. You can remove from menu options, or you can do transformations from here as well. But in most of the demo here, I'll be using native options. Right, and then we have zip here again formatted as numeric. I want to change this to text. So I select zip, and I choose data type as text. Okay, so there is a bug here actually. I didn't get that pop-up to replace the data, so probably I need to reload this data. So bear with me for a while. So I delete this. Then I'll load the data again. And now I'll go here. And now you see the option has come up. So let's replace it. We have the type now. Let me remove this column. Now rest all looks fine. We have country as text and revenue is normal. Everything is fine. Let's transform each of these tables. Okay. So we have manufacturer. Let's rename to make it user friendly. So I'm renaming it to manufacturer. And then there is a transformation to remove the last 3 rows, the bottom 3 rows. So I'll click here and say remove bottom rows. And I specify the number here. And the 3 rows which we don't want have been removed. And now I want to convert them into columns instead of rows. There is an option called transpose in the transform menu. When I click on that, data gets formatted as columns, right? And now one other thing I need to do is the header is appearing in the data row here. We need to promote this as a header. So there is an option to use first row as headers. I'll click on this, and now this became properly formatted. So the table has manufacturer ID, manufacturer, and logo, and all the data is organized as a table here. So we are done with manufacturer. We'll look into geography. I renamed geo to geography. So it's good for a better understanding, right? For people to interpret it properly. And in geography, again, I see like the first 2 rows we don't want. These make no sense to us. And in this case, I'll be removing top 2 rows. Right. And then again, I need to promote zip to the header. right? And one more thing I need to do is zip is formatted as numeric. Let me convert that to text. And I get the option here properly. I have replaced it. Well, so now we have completed the transformation of geography also. And let's look at product. And I will rename the product also to a meaningful name. And in the product, the data is well organized, but we need to make some changes, right? We need to transform. You see a lot of nulls here represented as missing values. But we know that all these categories, all these products belong to this category of mix. Likewise, if you look at rural, anything below rural are missing here. So we need to identify the proper category for each of these rows where values are missing. So there is a transform for that, which is called fill. When I say fill down, it will take the first non-missing value and then populates the remaining values down. So I choose this, sorry. Yeah. I need to click on this and then say fill down. And I can see that all the values have been populated. Similarly for rural also, all the missing values have been replaced. The other one that I want to show is how to split the data into two different columns, because we have a delimiter here. We have a transformation called split column, and I choose by delimiter. And in this case, I leave it as custom because these are the standard ones where our delimiter is not listed there. So this is the pipe delimiter, and I say OK. Now the data is split into two different columns. This is good for us to analyze. If I want to build hierarchies, right? If I have to drill down and drill up by category, segment, and product, I definitely need to split the data. Having them as part of one single column will not help us do such analysis. So here, let me rename. For rename, I can double click and do that. And I rename this one as segment. Okay, now we have product and segment, then we have category, and this is what the hierarchy is: category, segment, and product. And manufacturer ID is fine. We also need to split them into two different columns, but we use a different split operation here. We right click and then say add column from examples. So this transformation is similar to the split transformation, but the way it differs is it splits the column based on certain patterns. Let me show you how it looks like. So for example, in this case, I want to separate the numerical portion and the text portion into two different columns. So I can type the numerical part of the first row. Then automatically Power BI understands the intention here and then chooses the numerical portion for every row and splits them into a different column. Populates the other column. So I can rename it as MSRP and then click OK. So I have this values moved into a different column. And likewise, I want to choose another column for USD. I will do the same thing again, add column from examples. And this time I type USD and it understands what I'm intending here. And then accordingly it populates. I want to change this as currency. All right. So I got, I split the column into two different columns here, and I don't see a need for this column now. I can remove it. And MSRP is formatted as a text type. We want to change it to fixed decimal number. And then the transformation is applied here. All right, let's look at each of the columns again. So currency is properly represented as text. MSRP is represented as a dollar value, which is a numerical or decimal, fixed decimal. Then we have manufacturer ID, category, segment, product. So these are the transformations we have made in this product entity. And one last thing that we do is we'll have to merge international sales with sales because we want to have only one single table for entire sales data. So we don't need international sales separately. So for that, what we do is there is an option to combine. So let me rename sales first. So have sales renamed, and there is an option to append queries. So when I click here, I have an option to append 2 or more tables. I choose 2 tables here because I'm appending international sales with sales. So I choose international sales from the dropdown and I say OK. And now you see the data has merged. We get an additional column in sales, which is country. So we know that in international sales, we have this column country. And in sales, we did not have that column earlier, but when we merged, a new column got created. And because we didn't have any data for USA earlier, because there was no column, so it shows everything as null here. For example, if you want to see how the data looks like after merging, I'll do a sample load again. Okay, now you can see that data from USA and all countries have merged, but this one is shown as null. We need to transform to USA, and I'll show you how to do that. And there is a transform called add conditional column. So in this case, I choose the country, which is what I want to change, and equals operator, null, and output is USA. Else I choose the column country. So this conditional column works similar to your if and else logic, right? What I'm trying to do here is if country equals null, then I'm converting that into USA. Otherwise, I'm returning the same value of the country, right? If it is Australia, it remains as Australia. Wherever it is null, it will convert to USA. So let's see how it looks. Okay, now all the nulls are converted into USA. We got a new column here. Let's load again and see how the data looks. Right. Now we can see Australia, Canada, Germany, Japan, Mexico, Nigeria, and USA. So we have all the countries and no nulls. So data is clean now. Let's say OK. And now I don't need this column. I remove it and I rename this to country. Right. Now we have a country here. Then I want to convert this into a fixed data type. Into a fixed decimal number. And zip looks normal. Everything is fine. So one thing I wanted to do before loading the data into the model. So we have completed all the transformations now. We are ready to load the data into the model for our for us to build visualizations and all. So before that, let me also show an option to filter the data. So we don't want to load all 7 years of data because the files contain data for 7 years. So for this lab, just to demonstrate how to load the data, we don't want to load all 7 years of data. So there is an option to filter and choose number of years if you want to load. So in the filter criteria is in the previous, I say for last 3 years. And under days, I can choose the years here under this dropdown, and I say OK. Now you see the filter is applied. We get data for last 3 years in the model. Now we are done with all the transformations, and now we have to load the data, right? Before loading the data, we need to make a quick change. I didn't rename this. OK. So we need to disable the load here. As there is an option called enable load. I have to disable this. And the reason I'm doing that is the international sales is merged with sales already. And we don't want to duplicate the loading process. So loading this table again is is not necessary. So we can avoid that by disabling the load for this particular table. So we can avoid a redundant process here. So now all transformations are done. We have defined everything, how our data should look like, our model should look like. I'll go ahead and load the data. So there is an option here to close and apply. So I choose that option. Now it starts loading the data. So it will take a little time because it has to scan 7 years worth of data and then filter the data for last 3 years and load the data along with creating relationships. So we have the data loaded now. So with this actually we complete lab 1. We have as part of lab 1, this is what is needed. We have to load the data from different files and then whatever transformations we need to apply, that's what has been applied. So we can resume with the lab 2 and I'll continue with the same file that I have here, right? So in case if you have any questions, I'll pause for 5 minutes in every lab. But this lab along with the next lab are similar. So I want to continue. In case if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window. We'll come back to you. We will respond. And once the lab 2 is completed, I think we'll have ample time for any questions to answer. Right. So once we have the data loaded into the system, we saw that this was empty earlier. Now we have tables loaded here. So we have geography and all the fields related to geography are here. Then we have manufacturer, the logo, manufacturer ID, and the other column. Product, we have the category, segment, currency, MSRP product. We can see all these here. And we have the sales, the transactional table. We have data for all the countries here, including US. And there are 2 measures that you see here, which is revenue and number of units. Okay. So we'll see how to work with this. So in this lab, let me go to the presentation again. So in this lab, we actually look into some additional modeling capabilities and also building certain hierarchies and some DAX calculations. DAX mean data analytics expressions, which is a language that you use in Power BI to make calculations, right? And we also look into some other options like Q&A and all. Okay. So we'll come to that later. Okay. We have the list of data elements here, which we can use for building the visualizations. Let's look at the other tabs in the model. This is the data tab. For example, when I highlighted geography, I can see all the data pertaining to geography. When I click on manufacturer, I can see all the data for manufacturer. Product, I can see all the data for product and including those transformations we have applied, right? So we have separated product segment and then we have category properly identified. And the last one is sales. And sales contain the same structure that we have seen in the file earlier. And we have the country field as well here, which we have added. And then we have the model here. So Power BI, when you load the data from different files, based on some common attributes, it identifies the relationship between the tables, right? Because in relational model, you have data, the related data split into multiple tables. So here we have product and manufacturer related. So some data of manufacturer resides in this table and some in the product. By linking that, we'll be able to relate the data and then extract the data, the relevant data. All right. And similarly, the product is related to sales by product column. If I highlight any of the relationship, I can see on what attribute these tables are related. And if you look at geography is one table which is not linked to any of these tables and not to the sales. Let's understand, because if tables are not properly linked, this is what is the modeling, right? If there are issues with the model, we may not, the data representation might not make sense to us. Let me show an example how it impacts. So I take one visual here, the stacked column chart, and I drag sales revenue on this. And from geography, the country, let me see here. And if you see in this visual, data is plotted against all the countries, but looks like all the values are uniform. All are reporting same revenue, which is not the case. And this is because of the broken relationship, right? So we know that relationship is not there between sales and geography. So we need to identify what attribute we need to define relationship on. So zip obviously is a unique attribute. Let's see if we can join by zip. But when I join by zip, it is indicating that there is a many-to-many relationship. So ideally, many-to-many relationships have to be avoided because they give a Cartesian kind of results. So we need to convert this into one-to-many relationship for the model to work better. And the reason why it is showing many-to-many is it's like the same zip exists in multiple other countries too. So different countries might be using the same zip and that may be causing this issue. So we need to choose a combination that makes it unique. Okay, so I can choose country and zip as a unique. Based on the profiling, this is what we have identified, that country and zip makes it unique. So let's see how we can do this, how we can combine them and then create a relationship between these two tables. So I'll go back to the first one, the field list. So I'll create one calculated column to the geography, and I'll write a DAX expression here. And I'm going to call this as country zip. So I'm trying to create a combination of country and zip from geography table. So what I'm going to do is geography country, and ampersand is used for concatenation of two fields. And then I concatenate by an hyphen. I choose geography zip this time. So when I click on it, the expression is validated, and if there is no error, the column gets created here. So you can see a country zip combination, a column has been created, a derived column here. Now I need to do the same thing for sales because I have a country and zip here too. Let me create a new column here. You can also use modeling tab to do these things, or you can right click and then you can do, you can create columns here too. Country zip, and this time I'm using sales, the country in the sales table. I do the same logic and I concatenate with zip column in the sales table, and now I concatenate it and I'm saving the formula. So I got a new column created in the sales as well. Now let's see how it works. I go into the model and now I drag country zip onto the country zip here. There is one more way you can do. Sorry, you can also do this way. You can choose two tables. The top table you can choose sales, and then you can choose geography from the bottom, and then you can highlight the columns that you want to link, right? And then click OK. So it creates a one-to-many relationship. Now I see that there is no issue. So both tables are linked by common attribute country zip. So now it didn't complain about many-to-many relationship. So our model has been resolved properly. Now let's go and see how it looks like the visual. Now you see the visual is properly formatted. Now it is rightly representing the data now. So USA has its own revenue, which you can see this way, and then Australia has its own share. It's properly formatted. You can see it fixed the issue basically, right? So let's create a couple of hierarchies, and we'll see what is the use of hierarchies as well. So we have geography here. Let's create a hierarchy at a country and state level. For that, I'll choose the country here and click on new hierarchy. So a new hierarchy got created here, which is called country hierarchy. I can rename it to a different naming convention. In this case, I'm choosing it to be the same. And then I add state to the country as the next level. I choose the hierarchy which is available here. So if you have more than one hierarchy on the table, you get a list here and you can choose the appropriate hierarchy you want to add. So I'm choosing country hierarchy. There is only one hierarchy here. And then I'll add city under state, right? So I'll add to the same hierarchy. So now I have country hierarchy, which is at the first level, it is country, then second level, it is state, and the bottom level, it is city. So I have a hierarchy now. So if I want to create a different hierarchy, you can do that as well. I can have a combination of country, district, and city, and any other combination according to your business scenarios, right? You can have multiple hierarchies. So let's see how this works. Again, I'm dragging the visual here, and this time I choose revenue here, and I choose country hierarchy. Okay, now I can see the revenue and I see the country here. There is also an option called drill down. So this one appears when you have a hierarchy. This one automatically appears. Without clicking on this, let's see what happens. So there is nothing, only that particular portion gets highlighted. But when I enable drill down and I click on USA, it drills down by all the states within USA. And then further, when I click on California, it will go by each city within the California, right? And then I can drill up further to the country level. So this level of navigation becomes much easier for you when you have hierarchies. So this is one of the example of geography. Let's create one more hierarchy for the product. Okay, so now I choose category as the top level hierarchy and I add a new hierarchy. Let's rename to product. Product hierarchy, and then I'll add segment to product hierarchy. Then I'll add product as the last item. Right. So we have a new hierarchy, product hierarchy. So let me remove country hierarchy from here and add product hierarchy. Right. Now you can see it starts with the category. This revenue is reported by category here. When I click on this without the drill enabled, you can see what is happening here. And when I enable drill, when I click on urban category, then I can see all the segments under it. You can also see how the label segment is appearing. And when I click on the segment, then I can go to the product level, right? So this is how you can analyze your reports or your visualization using hierarchies. So it's more of an interactive way of viewing the data, and you can build many such visuals from here actually. And I want to demonstrate one more thing on the date hierarchy, right? I need to tell why this is important. So I will create one more visual. And this time there is a date field within the sales table, right? And it is identified as a hierarchy. So Power BI already analyzed the sales, the date field while loading the data, and automatically it has created a hierarchy by year, month, quarter, year, quarter, month, and day. We'll see how it appears. So let me drag this to the axis. Okay, now you see like we have data represented by year, which is year here. And when I enable drill down, I can go to the quarter level. And I can, when I click on quarter, I can go to the month level, right? So, but one thing what we have to see here is, though I can see a hierarchy here, sorry. Though I can see the hierarchy created by Power BI and I see it here, the date field itself is part of sales, right? It itself is an attribute, it itself is a field. I cannot enhance it. I cannot add additional attributes to the date. For example, if I want to add whether a particular day is a holiday or it's a physical or calendar type of properties, if I need to add to that particular dimension, it is not possible here, right? So you need to create a date table, which is a separate dimension altogether. And then you can add additional properties like year, quarter, month, or maybe some people use different levels of hierarchies. So if you need to do that sort of customization, it is preferred to create a new table. So let's see how that can be done. I go into the modeling tab here and then, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a table, sorry, yeah. So I can I click on the table, this is a new table menu option. Let me rename it as date because I'm creating a date dimension. And this time I'll add date values from 2012 to 2020. So let's see how a date table gets created with these values. So I have a calendar method function, and I need to specify what is the start and end date. So there is another function called date, and I need to specify values for that. So 2012, 1, 1. So here I'm trying to create a date value of a numerical value here, which is formatted as year, month, and day. So 2012 January, 1st of January actually, right? And then I'll create one more date function. This time it is until 2020, 12/31. So I'm trying to create date values, a calendar table basically containing date values from 12, 1st of January to 2020, end of December. So let's see how it looks like. Right. So it created a new table called date. I don't need to import data from files or external sources. If I have some handful data like categorical values or status values, I can use a new table feature within the data model and create new tables here and populate the data within the model. So it created a hierarchy again here. Let's see what data type it is. So it is identified as a date time. Since we don't have any time portion, we will choose it, we'll format it as date. And now I have the field as date. So let's remove the one that we added from sales. So earlier we have a date from sales. Let's remove from there and then add this. Now it created the hierarchy from the date table, but again you see it's a broken relationship because the newly created table is not related to the sales table. So we need to fix that. So I'll go here and then I see a date table here. I need to create a link between sales and date. So I'll link the date from here to date here. This is one way of doing. And now I have the relationship between the two tables created. Let me go back to the visual and see it is formatted properly. It's similar to what we had here, right? And now we can see a hierarchy also created. I can drill down to quarters and to months, and then drill up in a similar way. So these are the hierarchies. Let me show you some other cool features. So there is, I'm dragging this, I'm dragging revenue. Let me look at, sorry, country. And then manufacturer or legend. So this is one way of representing the data. So in this case, I created a visual to represent revenue by country and manufacturer, right? So there is, I see quite a few manufacturers here. And if I want to see only top 5 manufacturers who actually, from a revenue perspective, I want to see only top 5. I have an option to filter the data. So if you go to the manufacturer filter, you have 3 different options here. One is basic filtering, advanced filtering, and top N filtering. So I'll choose top N here, and then I say 5. And I want to filter by revenue. So I'll drag revenue and add the revenue here. And when I click apply, I can see the top 5 by revenue, right? The top 5 manufacturers appear here. This is one option. There is also one more option which I want to show, a cool option. So the manufacturer, right? There is a concept called groups within Power BI. So I can choose a particular field. Let me write something. So this is a manufacturer. Let me create a group on manufacturer field. So I have a list of all the manufacturers here, which are all initially ungrouped. If I know that these 5 manufacturers are top competitors, I can create a group out of it. So I choose Abbas, Barba, Currys, Leo, and Pirium. I create this as one group. I click on group and I rename it as top competitors. And then I choose Van Astel as itself a group. And then rest of the ungrouped values, I want to treat them as others, right, as a separate group altogether. So there is an option to include the uncategorized or ungrouped values into a single group called others, right? Now with this, we created 3 different groups. And let me remove this filter because we are going to use a different approach. So I remove this. And instead of manufacturer earlier, I'll use the group now. And you can see, like, let me maximize this. Sorry. And I can see that we have 3 different groups as we created. All others as one group, top competitors as one group, and Van Astel as its own. And this is a very good feature actually that helps you bucket various categories. And there is also something called page level filter. We'll talk about filters more in the future labs, but I want to give a quick example here. So I can go by category, for example, right? So I choose category and then put a filter on the page, and I can see all the filters here. So all the values here, I can choose 1 or 2 values and then filter accordingly. So when I do it at a page level, if I have more than 1 visual, it impacts all the visuals. All the visuals will be filtered by the values I choose here. Okay. So this is a quick demo on this. Now let's get into one more important thing. In this case, we'll be creating a couple of DAX calculations, new measures basically, to see how you can create a very intuitive visual. So I have one visual called matrix, right? And let me format this visual. So let me add value first. Not revenue, sorry. I'll be adding product hierarchy. And then I'll add revenue. And now I have an option here. Great. Let me format a bit so that we can see fonts better. Okay. So here we have all the categories. You can drill down to segments and then to products, right? And then you can see how the revenue is spread across. We can also add one more thing. If I want to see what is the percentage or the ratio compared to the overall total, right? So there is another option. I drag the revenue again into the values field, and I choose one option here, show value as percentage of grand total. And the moment I do, it creates another column here, revenue, which is represented as percentage of the grand total. So across all the categories. Right, you can see what is the percentage share on the grand total across each category. So we'll create a couple of DAX columns here. In this case, we choose a new measure. So a measure is an aggregatable value. It's similar to a column, but in this case, you use measures for numerical values, for example, sales. And if you want to aggregate, you're able to hear me, right?
Yes, Raghav.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, there was a short break, interruption in my presentation. Sorry for that. Okay, so we are going to create measures. What I was talking about measure is it's an aggregatable numerical value, similar to sales or revenue, right? If you want to aggregate values across multiple rows in your table, you will create measures. And you can aggregate them by country level or state level or city level. That's the advantage of measure. Let's create a couple of measures here. Previous year sales. I use a function called calculate sum of um, revenue. Same period last year. I use date here. What I'm doing here is I'm creating what is the previous year sales compared to the current year. So I'm summing up the sales revenue, and I'm choosing same period last year, right? So for example, if I'm in 2020, then I get the values of 2020, and the corresponding values of 2019 is what I'm calculating here in the previous year sales. So I got the measure created here. Then let me create one more measure called growth. I use a function called divide. Then I again go by sum of revenue minus previous year sales. Previous year sales. So here what I'm doing is I'm trying to calculate what is the percentage growth from last year. So for that, this is the calculation. This is the formula I'm using. I'm taking the entire revenue of current year, then subtracting the value from the previous year, and then dividing by previous year value. So this is the formula for calculating percentage growth. Okay, let's drag these onto the matrix and see how it looks like. So I drag previous year, sorry, I need to choose the visual and then click here. And I see previous year values are calculated here. And let me also add percentage growth. So since I mentioned it as percentage growth, I need to format it as percentage. So I'll click on percentage growth and I can see the format option here as a percentage. So I'll click on it. So the data is formatted as percentage, right? Now let's see how it works. Basically, let me drag one visual here, put date. So let me put year for now. Right. So if I am in, if I choose 2020, then I can see the values for 2020 in the revenue and the values for 2019 in previous year sales. And percentage growth from 2019, I can see here, right? Similarly, if I click on 2019, I can see the value for 2019 here and previous year 2018 here, and then percentage growth. So this is one way we can interact with the visuals. We can analyze, we can extend the model, we can add our own calculations. DAX is very powerful. You can do a lot of complex calculations as well to meet a lot of time intelligence or financial intelligence related calculations. If you need to do, you have lots of functions available within DAX. So with that, we are done with lab 2. We can proceed with lab 3 next. Let's see what is the time. We are close to the end. We have 7 minutes left. If you have any questions, we can discuss. Any questions, or if you have any suggestions, the pace we are moving on. If you have any suggestions, please do suggest.
Hi, Raghav. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
You loaded the Excel sheet and you did the transformations. I see them, but in case if I added one more column in the Excel file without changing this, whatever the report we created, without changing that, can we load that? Can we modify it?
Yeah, right. That's a good question. When you try to load it, the message pops up like it detected a new field, and it will prompt you to make the changes in the model.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So do we need to just refresh the data? Then automatically it will populate that new column in our BI report?
You will have to make changes to the model because there is a new column that has appeared, right? So it will detect the change and let you make the change in the model, and it won't be too complex to handle actually. Mostly it will be straightforward, but it won't be automatically refreshing it. It will warn you that there is a change detected and you have to take some action initially. After that, the model gets updated, and whenever you are loading the file with new schema or new structure, it remains normal.
Okay. So like in case of query, if I am using, for example, you use the Excel file, but I am using the MDX query, for example. Mm-hmm. So like the query I updated in the backend, and again, when I refresh it, my change, like when I say OK or transform the data, then it's not, I mean, it's completely, it's taking out everything and then I have to redo everything, right? Is it like that?
As long as the changes that you're making, right? Maybe you're writing additional filter in the MDX query or your database query. As long as you are not making any schematic changes or data type changes, there is no issue. Okay, the model works as is without any issue. You can load the data also. But the moment it detects a schema change, then you end up with an incompatible schema. So you need to fix that actually. It doesn't ignore, basically. It doesn't ignore if you have a missing field, yes, it will highlight that because the model is referring to a field which is missing in the file. And likewise, if you see a new attribute in your file, definitely it gives a warning.
Okay. Okay.
Prashant, maybe you have any idea?
Also, if the metadata got changed, and if let's say for that table we have 20 steps for transformation, in extreme case, if everything got corrupted, then there is a functionality that you can select all 19 except the source one steps, and in the other Power BI you can import new schema and copy paste all the step in that. So you can also do that. So you don't need to change everything, but yes, whatever new columns is coming up in the Power BI, you need to check whether the new column you need to do any specific transformation. But it's not from the scratch you need to do everything. There is a functionality that you can copy paste steps and recreate same transformation.
But usually, Madhava, if I spell you right, so basically, this is the reason to insulate changes, right? To insulate the model from breaking changes. Usually, we prefer building views or anything in the back end, and you'll make all necessary changes behind the scenes, right? But the exposed data or the schema will not change. So that way your model never breaks when you're trying to load. I hope it makes sense, or we can connect again on that.
I think, yeah, because loading data is differed from the query. So even, for example, if I load for the first time when I am running it, if it is, for example, I'm saying I took the 2020 data. Now again, I change it to 2021, then the loading data is totally different and the data transformations will be different in your chart.
No, so if you're loading data for 2021, that should not be an issue as long as the schema is same, right? Because we keep adding data from time to time, but we don't change the structure. See, I have data for last 7 years in my files. Now I can add one more year. There is no issue, right? You keep on adding data year by year, but unless you are making changes to the structure, the data is fine. Or loading part, there is no issue. But the moment in 2021, if you make a change to the schema altogether, then definitely what about the data that is having a different schema prior to that?
What I'm saying is like the loading data itself first, initially I load only 1 year data, and again, if I want to change my load data into other year, it will be different, right? So, and I'm saying schema, I mean, basically the filter condition might be changing to 2022, 2021. I'm saying.
Yeah, that is fine. That is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
That is fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm good.
Thank you. Any other questions from anyone?
And one more question, Raghav. Again, it's Rajita.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, I spelled you wrong earlier.
That's fine. Yeah. So just now I got it. And so I just thought of asking you, like, I mean, when we are loading data, does it affect on the size of the file? Because like, you may load 10 years of data, you may load 1 year of data, but does it affect on the Power BI file, the report file?
Yes, it is limited by the memory of your local desktop. So you usually will not be loading so much of data when you're authoring the reports, right? But if you have to publish the report and refresh, there are limitations on Power BI surveys, and to overcome the limitations, you have different pricing models for Power BI. So you have premium capacity or dedicated capacity. And then again, there are different tiers in that premium tiers, right? Depending upon volume of data you want to cache in Power BI model, you can choose the appropriate tier or the capacity.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
But when authoring, we'll never load so much of data because it's an in-memory engine what Power BI uses, and if it doesn't fit, then you'll get issues.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thank you. So if there are no more questions, I think it's a break time, right? At break time, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we can assemble in 15 minutes. So it is like, sorry,
11:45.
11:45 a.m. Yeah, fine. Okay, so we'll take quick break. I'll remain online here. I mute myself and we resume it in 15 minutes. Thank you all. And if anyone has any question, you can also drop it in the message, sorry, chat window. We can also take a look at it.
Raghava, you can stop sharing your desktop now.
Yeah, thanks, Prashant. Yeah, thank you.
Hi Raghav, you there?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm here. Right.
Yep.
So we are 1 minute over, right? So can we start? I think many of them are here. Okay,
Yep.
I brought up my PPT again here. I'm presenting it. Do you see that?
Yes, I can.
Right. So before we go into lab 3 visualization, there is a quick poll that we need to conduct.
I will launch it.
Okay, thank you. So we'll give around 15 seconds for everyone to respond, and then we can start with visualization lab.
Sure. Let me share my screen.
Go ahead, Prashant. Sure.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, Prashant.
Okay. We'll wait for 1 minute to people answer the poll.
Sure.
Okay. Let's start with the lab 3, which is visualization. So as Raghava have covered first two lab, which is prepare and explore. We have done exploring all the data. We have prepared all implied all the transformation required for the source data, so that all the data is in the right form. And now we can create our visuals to create, to analyze or to see insights about the data. So in this particular lab, we will more focus to the different types of visualizations, and there are other properties. So visualization. So in Power BI, we have default or few visualizations will come with the Power BI. But yes, you are free to go to the marketplace and download and use other custom visuals. With this, let's go to the actual hands-on. So I have used lab 2 solution, which is provided in the lab material. So in the last lab, we have covered many visuals. So just to highlight, this is a bar graph, uh, this is a matrix, and this is a scorecard. So although we have this, but most of the time we want to uh, express data in more better way by providing color combination, highlighting some values, all that stuff you can do using Power BI also. So let's start with first. So I have this matrix present over here, but I want to highlight which are the top growth against a category. So as we have created these new measures in last lab, I want to highlight based on the percentage. How to do that? I go to the matrix on the left hand side, visualization, right hand side. I can see there is a growth, and I can click down arrow, and in that we have property called as conditional formatting, and we have many other formatting options available. Font color also can be changed. We can put data bars behind this particular cell. We can create icons like KPI, top arrow, down arrow, or a signal like icons to showcase data more visually. I'm going for the background color based on the growth percent, and over here you can see I am using color combination light for lowest and bit darker color value for the highest value. And if I say apply, then you can see that the color coding is changed. So the lower version has a light color of blue, whereas the high percentage growth has good dark version. Now let's add few slicers. So slicers is again another visual. So we can use slicer. Okay. Okay. So I am clicking on the white canvas and then selecting visual called as slicer, and I want to show all manufacturer logo in this particular slicer, but I can see that it's all link. So as it is considered as a link, it is showing me all the values in the list, but I want an image because I can see from here it is an image. To do that, what I will do is that I will go to column and I say this data category as image. So now Power BI understand that, okay, I don't want a link, but the image of that particular link. So now it is showing, but this is again taking some space vertically. So I want it to make horizontally. So if I go to this brush and I set orientation, then I can use this orientation property and make it horizontal so that everything goes horizontally and I can save some space. So now this is interacting one. So if I click on any image, I will able to select. So now let's do another thing is that its canvas is completely white. So let me add a background so that our visualization or our report look nice. To do that, I go to the canvas and there is a page background, and I want to add a image which is provided in the data folder background, and it is asking me about other properties like transparency. I want to 0 so that I can see full image uh, behind. So to so this particular feature helps to make a template so that all the other reports can be uh, have a similar standard look, as well as it's look really nice for this. So let me arrange these visuals. So now you can see we have nice look and feel for this page. I would also like to add a logo of vendor cell over here plus a header. So what I can do, I can insert a text and I will say manufacturer analysis, and also I want to add insert image, which is background. No, not background. I want to add logo. Yeah, it's look nice. Now you can see that this text has a background as a white. I want to make consistent, so I will use behind background color. So I will turn off and it will take up automatically. Same with this. Yeah. Now let's do or add some more visuals over here. I will, let's add custom visual play axis. So to add that, first click on these three dots, get more visuals. It's loading. And over in search, you can use play axis. Play axis, and first it imports. So this is, we have import. I would like to pin it to my visual, so it will be available for here. And when I click, I get area where I will now put the fields on which it will play. I would like to add a year, so that if I play on year, you can see that data is moving one by one. So there are other, let me pause here, and there are some other properties also, that whether you want it auto start, do you want to put it into loop, and the time span for each visualization or each value of a year. Let me also rename this. Let's add another page, and let me add another visual. Let's add a map, and if I use full space up here, map, you want a location, so we have zip, so I can use zip, and size. Now we have all the data points loaded over here, but I want size to be varies based on my revenue. Now you can see the size change. Also we have, let's go to US. And if I want to see on the other dimension, then I can also add manufacturer or a category. Let's go for category and put it in legend. So you can see it will then show division of the revenue per country per category. So let me say that category takes more. Now also I want name this page as same as our report. And once it is done, let's also make a interactive button, add a interactive button, so that we can navigate between these two. So to do that, I can create a button over here, that is, I can insert a button, and that will say that back, and it will take us back to the main page. the action on this will be page navigation and going to the first page. At the same time, I can use, I can also text it to main report. Similarly, I can add over here, instead of back, now let's add another one. Let's add this particular right arrow, and again in action I want to navigate to my next page. In text I can just add some descriptive for this. Now once I click on this, it goes to the other page. At the same time, if I click on this, it will come to main page. So this way we can do navigation across our pages. Now let's look at the another features which is very important in this, that is bookmarks. So bookmarks is a facility where we can create a snapshot type of setting. Like if I want one button, which first page I am more interested in Wednesday as a first selection, as a default one, then what can we do that if we save and if we publish this report, it will have this selection as a default. But let's say that we want to clear this slicer value, and it may be quite possible that we have more than one. So to clear everything we can use the bookmarks. So let's see how to do that. I would like to add one button which is named as blank, and I will drag over here. I will say it as so this one will be only showing us data for this particular vendor. And let's create a bookmark for this particular selection value. Go to bookmark section, and when I click on add, it will select this all selected values. Similarly, if I remove everything and I want to clear all the filters, I can again use another button. So in Power BI, you can copy paste similar type of visuals and fine tune based on your requirement, which make very useful while creating reports. So this let me rename as clear all filters. And let me add it. So clear all. Now if I click this particular bookmark, you can see that default page selection I can see, whereas if I go and select second bookmark, then all filters are gone. So let me now connect this button with these two bookmarks. To connect, so I will click on first button, I will go to the action section, I will switch on, and this is type is bookmark, as we have created a bookmark, right? So it's a bookmark, and then it's value of the selected value. The second one, in the same fashion, we can go to bookmark and create clear all. By this way, we can create different buttons or interaction based on our value selection. Also, we can use another functionality called as selection with bookmarks to highlight or to show selected values. For example, if I want one particular bookmark just to show uh, this matrix and one graph, I can just say that I want a matrix which is not high, and I want to hide first report. I can hide, and I can just say that I want to spotlight this particular visual and create a bookmark. So now if I create another button, and name it matrix report, and on action I want to connect to my spot matrix, and if I now go and click on different bookmarks or buttons, you will see the different interactions. Any question till now? Okay. Uh, Let me also show you another cool feature, which is the edit interaction. So as Raghava have shown you, then once we select one value, the other also get affected, right? So it's filter for that particular selection. So for example, you can see 2014, it is few other data or bar got a little bit unfocused mode. So how we can see that, I will show you. Let's make a one table value. We add one table with all countries, or a slicer, probably slicer with all countries. So now we can see there are different countries. If I use Australia, so you can see the interaction. So there might be a scenario where we want to restrict this type of interactions, and I want to make one particular graph irrespective of what is the selected and the other. Might be a summary, and how to do that or remove interaction is go to format and interaction. Now this interaction will show you all the corresponding visuals present on that page. And now let's say I want to edit interaction based on this particular visual. So it is giving me other options. This is a filter, whether I need to do a filter when I click on here, or it is none. So if I click on none, then it will not be interacting anymore when we do some selection over here. Let me do that. I am saying that I don't want to make any changes on this, but yes, I want to filter data based on my selection on the country. When I say Australia, you see the data got changed over here, but this visual is as it is. If I do 16, then definitely this visual is again interacting. So I can just also say that based on this, I don't want to filter, but I just want to highlight or shade out whatever the not in context with that particular selected value. Or else I can directly say that okay, I want to filter and the data will change accordingly. Let me also show you other few tips. When we have multiple pages, it's always better to add slicers with the same values. For example, over here in these two pages, we have a logo, which is a common slicer. It's always better to keep that slicers in sync so that if I select one value and when I go to another page, the selected value should pass through. And to do that, what we can do is that we should click on view, sync slicer, and currently it is an individual slicer, so there is no relationship between them. So what I will do, I will delete one slicer from second page and copy first one on the second page. Now you can see it is asking me whether I want to sync. So again, based on the requirement, we may go for sync or don't sync. But now both this will be synced. So I have clicked sync and visibility. So if I select a bus in the second visual, then on the first visual also the selection will be propagate correctly. So this is about interactions and visuals. I will hold for some time. Let me know if anyone has any questions.
I think we are on time, Prashant. We can move forward.
Okay, so let's continue with lab 4. Now in lab 4, it's more towards, let me go to the presentation. So this is more building more towards publishing or sharing our reports with our colleagues. Give me a minute. Okay. Um, so once this report is ready, we want to share it with in our organization. So how to do that? Let's see that. So once I save this on my local machine, I can then go and publish it. Now this is just a web view, so we can also configure our mobile view for this. So let's do that first before publishing it. The reason behind this is that as we are all aware that there might be quite a majority of the users which will use this report or access this report from mobile device, and the web view and the mobile view is not so hand to hand. So we want to adjust the visual size based on the mode or the device by which we are accessing it. So you can see over here, we can see all the visuals present in the report present over here. So I want, let's see how to arrange this. I want the report name on the top, and then I want uh, buttons. So I had 3 buttons. So let me add that one. Clear filter probably over here, and third matrix. Okay, and this probably taking the whole bit. Then there is one slicer. I can make a space for slicer on this side. I want this graph below my revenue by country and manufacturer graph. I want play on bottom, and let me scroll a bit. This is matrix full view and scorecard. It's okay to ignore scorecard for time being, and this is how it will be seen on the report when user access from mobile device. Let's go back to our web layout. Now let's go ahead and try for publishing it. So when we go for publish, it will ask for the workspace. As Raghava mentioned earlier, we have 2 types of workspace: personal workspace, where we share our reports and it is only seen by us. But when you share it across your organization, you need a workspace created, separate workspace created, so that it has have a workspace for this. So let me create one. So I am going and logging into my Power BI credentials, and over here I can see the workspace. So this is my workspace and this is my local workspace. So I would like to create a new one, probably with name DAD demo, and put some description. I want to put a logo in my workspace image, and we have it handy in DAD data, and there is a logo. Not this one. Let me, yeah, this one, and let me save it. Once I saved, I have my workspace. Now in this workspace, I can publish my reports. Let's do that. So if I go over here on my desktop, Power BI desktop, and I can see that now DAD demo workspace I can see. I will select that, and after selecting, it is now publishing into that workspace. It might take some time. Yeah, now it is successful. Now we can click over here and can go to the workspace where reports have been published. So this is two reports which we have created, and now it is published on the workspace. The another option is I can go to my workspace. I can go to DAD demo workspace, and over here you can see two files. So the content is only shows as a report, whereas data set is this. So this is a data set of for that particular report. And if we click on all, we can see the both this. If I click on the report, the same report will be shown over here, and it is fully interactive. Like if I select Germany, you know that I have remove interaction on this too. If I want to go to next, so I can see or interact again. If I want to say by year, it will play accordingly. Let me stop, go back, and now we have our report published in Power BI. Now it's again we have not yet given access to that reports. So let's go to workspace access, and here you can add other persons or the group where people will be a part of and who will access these reports. For time being, let me add my colleague, and there are different roles on which I can add this user. So admin is the highest role, and then next is a member, contributor, and viewer. Let me add at the highest level and add. So now he can see this report from his workspace. Now what are the different roles? So Microsoft have given really nice documentation on uh, explaining which role is can do what activity. So like admin can do almost everything. So he can do everything, whereas member cannot do or add people from the other admins. It can be just do all these features, whereas contributor can feature dashboards, reports with the like reports on the colleague's home, create or edit delete content in the workspace, whereas the last one, the viewer, won't be allowed to do all these things. He will be only able to view and interact with items and read data stored in workspace data flow. So this is really nice documentation which will give you more fine granularity access to provide to particular users. Let me go to the main page again, and let's explore more thing. So now, as you are aware that now report from the Power BI desktop is now on Power BI service. But now again, let's say that we have organizational apps. So this is a place where we can create app, and we can already have a set of the users accessing that particular that app. So we can also publish reports from our workspace to app. Let's see how to do that. So if I go back to my report DAD demo workspace, and towards the right hand side you will see there is a feature called as include in app. I am saying that yes, I want to include, but currently I don't have any app because this is a new workspace. So let's create one new app. So I will give name as DAD app. Let's put some summary. The logo is fine. We can use same one and publish. Now it's asking for pop-up, and yep. So now it is report have been published in app also. So this is through apps, and in apps you will see all reports one below another, a single page. So this is how we publish our reports to first to Power BI workspace and then on the Power BI apps. Now let's go and see what are the other features or the way of collaborating your reports with other users, or might be for your usage, because in organization there are more than 20-30 reports and you might be interested in seeing only few reports or few visuals out of one report. For that we have something called as dashboard. Let's see how to create a dashboard. So I go to the workspace, and in workspace I have many visuals, but let's say that for me I am quite interested to see this visual, which is a KPI, and you can see there is a pin icon over here. So I can go and click pin icon, and it will say that okay, this visual needs to be pinned to which dashboard. Is it existing one or new one? As there is no dashboard created earlier on my workspace, so it will be definitely new one, and let me name it as and pin it. Okay, now again you can see that is Power BI is saying that okay, you have created a dashboard, but it is in the web mode or web visual layout. What if any user wants to use from a mobile device? So it's also asking me to make that visuals or layout for the mobile users. We can do it in later stage, but first let's add few of the things. So I want this visual in the existing dashboard. Yes, correct. Let's ignore for time being. I want let's go to next page. I don't want this for time being. Let's say that I want this. So currently I have pinned 3 visuals, and let's go and create a mobile setup. So in this it is now one below another. Yeah, I am fine with the spacing and everything. So this look good. So let's go back to the web view. In web view, this is each visualization is called as a tile, and you have a facility, or you can click and go to the report from where that tile is coming, or you can resize as per your requirement. I want this is a full space, and this. Yeah, in this way we can create our own dashboard. Now you can see there is one ask a question about your data. So Power BI have provided this feature where you can directly write some English like a statement, and Power BI engine will create a graph for you. Let's do, I want a top revenue, let's say category, and Power BI have already created one visual for me, but I want to see this in some another way. So I can say by pie chart. So now you can see the graph is or visual is ready for us. So if let's say I have created one visual based on my requirement, and now where to save it? The place is a dashboard. If you see a small pin over here, and if I click on it, it will be added on your dashboard. Let's go and see. So this is dashboard symbol, and if I go over here, I can see my latest added visual is on here. So what are the different other ways of creating data insight or visual based on this? This is one way. The another way is go back to your dashboard, and at the data set level, I can click on three dots and get quick insights. So again, this is another way that is Power BI engine or AI intelligence is used to create some reports which will give you some idea about insights about the data. It might take some time, yes. So insights is ready, and what I can see, there are many graphs Power BI have suggested me. Let's see one or two visuals where it is good and it is useful for us. Top competitors accounts for the majority of units. So now it is based on the donut graph based on the manufacturer groups. So this is MS PRP by category. So he have given some insights. Let's say that I am interested in this particular. Again, I can go and pin visual to my dashboard. Now if I go to my dashboard again, then I will see newly added visual. So in this way we can add visuals on our dashboard. Okay, now we can see that we have this card, and it has a number 1.19 millions. So based on this visual, I can also create alerts. Let's say alert for revenue, and if it is, let's say, then it will create alert and it will inform me if it is going above threshold which I have provided. So something this kind you can create alerts also on this. With this, I have almost covered all important material in lab 4, but I would also like to show you one more new feature which is come in market. But before that, I would like, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
I have a question about the data set and the reports.
Mm-hmm.
Do you usually separate the data set from the reports, or do you keep them in the same file?
In the same workspace.
In the same Power BI file as well? I've heard that some people said the best practice is to separate the data set from the reports.
Yeah, then there is another concept called shared data set, which can cater to multiple reports. So there are two types of data sets, right? One that embeds within the report, and then you can also create a shared data set that can cater to multiple reports, a central location.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
There is one in chat window. Can I publish a report so that its content may only be available to users within a certain group?
Yes, for this we might be required to use role RLS.
Row level security.
Yeah. Okay, if there are no questions, then let me show you one new feature which Microsoft have added recently. So this is called as a charticulator. Okay. So this is in this way. This is a charticulator. With the help of this, we can create our own graphs or visuals, which is not initially present on the Power BI visual sections. So we have bar, line, some specific types of visuals. But let's say that I am interested in creating a new, different way of visual, which will give me more insights about particular data. So how to create it? So this is custom visuals. Again, I have gone to get more visuals, and when I search for charticulator, I get this. So when I click on this, so I get a blank report or space for this visual, and it is asking me for the visuals or data, metadata to create that particular uh, graph. So I am interested in country, let's see, I'm interested in category and revenue. So I want to show something like bar graph, but in different format or different perspective. With this detail, let us go and try to create new chart. This is customized for my particular requirement. So let me, once we go and into edit mode, so now this is the interface where you will create your own visual. So let me just give walkthrough around all the features. So this is a guide. So guides is basically the lines. This is a segment. So segment is the area where our graph or new visual will be created, and we have visibility to make a size change. Just make sure that all four corners is always green, because this is how the grid will be used for new visual, and if we resize it, then our visual might not be resized as desired. So let's keep it at full space. Now this is a scaffold. So scaffold is basically how you want to show visual or data points. So it can be shown vertically, horizontally, or a polar vision and line. I will show you one visual for this, and these are the marks. Now let's take an example. One fact table has three columns, three different values. So I can use three different marks to represent each value, and I can associate or showcase that using visuals. Also, we have some symbols, rectangle, triangle, and circle. We can also include text for our usage. So I will quickly show you how to create one. So now if I see this particular graph, it is showing me that country and category, it is having so many data. So let me just make it small. And now I can say that, okay, I want bar graph where my height will be based on the revenue value, and country will be my x-axis, so it is based on country, and my category will be based on my color. Let's give dimension category as the filler. So now you can see that I can see data. It's a similar to the bar graph. So currently the visual is a similar to the bar graph, and if I save or if I make a change on revenue in within a country, revenue for different, but now there is no values anywhere. So let me also add quickly a text on the, let me on the right side probably, and I will say that this is the revenue value, and now I have a feasibility or functionality where I can select anywhere and it will show me at the same displacement. So you can see over here, I can see the displacement same. I can bring it down if I want. I can, for better representation, let's keep it close to the bar. Also, I want what is the name of the category. So I can again go to text and quickly add text on the top and a drag drop category value inside it, and you will see each value. So currently it is making a lot of data inside it, so I will clear new text and let's keep it. But yes, legend will help, right? So let's add a legend on based on category, and now I have a legend, and if I make it vertical and this way, this look pretty good, right? So let me go back, save it, and if I, this is, but now you will say that okay, this is the standard, but no, let's make more changes. If I go to edit, and if I, here it's make more interesting, if I use polar and if I drag drop, then it will show me a circle. Now this is a nice way of representing data, and it will give me directly which are the values which I am interested in analyzing. Also I can make it visible for only halfway, and I can remove this, and if I click, then the particular data set or data point will be selected. Also there are other things also you can do it. This is a line, so if I draw a line, if I click over here and I say line, and where how I can arrange it as I wish. Also we have spiral. Let's say that we have lots of data points on the x-axis, and it is very difficult to see in the single line, vertical or horizontal. I can create a winding like structure, and let's say 2 windings, and this will show me in this phase. So this is really cool feature, added, custom visual added recently last month by Power BI. In this way, again this will be interacted with the other visuals also. Okay, we are almost, so let's go to next lab, which is building a dashboard and sharing.
I think before going to this lab, it's lunchtime,
Okay,
Prashant.
yep.
We need to
Okay,
break lunch and reassemble again.
Okay, sound good.
It's like so we come back again at 1:15 p.m. Okay, so we'll take a break and then we'll conclude with the last lab, where we'll show you the mobile features of Power BI. Thank you all. Okay, it's time to begin the session. Prashant, you are there?
Yes, and
Okay, we will wait for a couple of minutes and then we can resume.
okay.
I think we can get started, Prashant.
Okay.
Hope
Yeah, let me
everyone,
share my screen.
we have everyone on the call.
Can you see my screen, Rak?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay. So just a recap, in first lab we have taken a look how to import data. In second lab we explored data. In third lab we have visualized data, and now the fourth lab, let's see how we can collaborate our reports with our co-workers. I have already started explaining you how we can do that, but let's explore how mobile app installed on our mobile device, and we can access our reports using that. So let me back to my mobile device. So currently what I have done is that I have mirrored my mobile with AnyDesk. So you people can also do similar activity and install Power BI on your respective mobiles, so that we can access reports which I have published on my particular workspace. So my phone is Android, so I am going into Play Store and searching for Power BI, and Microsoft Power BI is the app we need to install. Let me do also update app. It's almost there. Yep. Let me open it. Now it is taking my company email ID as my credential. Let me sign with that. Now we have logged in into our app. Now you can see in the bottom we have home, favorites, apps, workspace. So let's start with workspace. So over here I can see all workspace on which I have access, the list of all the workspace. So I am currently interested in the demo workspace. So let me go in, and over here we have similar layout just like our web browser. I can see the reports, my dashboards, and let's go with the report. Now you can compare the report layout. It will be the same as what we have done for mobile layout. Let me connect again. Yep, it started mirroring again. Let me go to Power BI and back to my workspace. I am interested in my workspace TAD demo, and let me click on my report. It's again loading, and you see all the buttons or the visuals how I have placed on this particular report, and I can see report accordingly. It's again interactive one. We can click filters, metrics, and all. This is highlighting or spotlighting our metrics report. I'm resetting to default view. If I want clear filter, I can clear it up. Now let's go back and let's see our dashboard, how it looks. Again, I have placed my KPI on the top, followed by one graph and metrics report. So I can see similarly. Now, what are the other options I have? Now I've told you before that organization can have many reports, but I might be interested in only few reports. So favorite features star, if I click that, then this is a nice way to manage all the reports which I wanted to see. So the all favorite reports will be listed on your favorite bar. This is app. So under app we have created one app, right? So if I go in, then app also contains same report, so I can see that, and I can also play it to see what was the data revenue per each report per year. What are the other things I can do? Let's see. This is just showing the report name. So let's go back to our web browser and let's explore more thing. So if I go back to my workspace or on my app, it says that app is not there. Let me see again. update app. I have one app. I say update, and if I go to my app, yes, I can see everything. And over here also I can click this favorite to add to my favorite list. When I click on edit, I will come back to my workspace area. Now in workspace area, we have three different sets, that is navigation and permission. Now entire organization, if I click entire organization, then all people will be able to see my report through app. If I want specific group, then I can add a specific email ID or group ID over here. Again, I can add update app, and that will give access to persons who are added in this particular list. Let's see few other options available over here. Over here there is a view, full screen, fit page, weight, actual size option is there. We also have a bookmark. This is a symbol for bookmark, and if I can add my personal bookmark also. It will show you what are the bookmarks already present on this particular page. Now the filter sections, so filter sections will show you if any visual has any implicit or explicitly mentioned filters over here. So there are three types of filters on the high level. So first is at visual level. So I can provide a filter at a particular visual level. So if I go over here and I can just say Germany, then you can see that only this visual filter is applied. If there is another level of filter which is called as a page level filter, so the page level filter will apply a filter across all visuals present on that particular page. For example, if I use only Venersdale, then it will show me data for only that particular data. Let me clear it up, and now again we are back to our main default view. Power BI also keeps the selection value in the cache. So if you want to go to reset like a default view, so you should click this reset filter. It will take you back to the settings or the filter values by default person have deployed or published on the reporting server. That's about all about app. And let's go back. And so hopefully you people are able to install Power BI app and access whatever report you have published on your personal workspace or your organizational workspace. This pretty much covers our lab 5. We have still 15 minutes, so if anyone have any questions, we can take up that question, or else I can share a few more tips about Power BI.
One more thing, just I want to add one thing about mobile service, right? Mobile app. So actually, you can view any type of reports, whether they are mobile optimized or web optimized in your mobile device or Power BI mobile app. The only difference is, the regular reports which are web optimized, you'll be able to see in Power BI in a landscape mode only. But if you want to see it in portrait mode, you need to have the reports recreated in or redesigned in mobile view. So when we looked at a couple of options in the Power BI desktop or even on the web Power BI service, there is a separate view for mobile, right? So there is a separate view for mobile. When it is enabled, you will be able to create mobile dashboards, and otherwise you will be looking at regular dashboards. Right, that's the major difference which I wanted to highlight here. Yeah, go ahead, Prashant. You want to share something?
Yeah, so let's wait for some time and see if anyone have any query or doubt regarding this. Okay, I would like to share more some features. One is called as the themes. So let's say that we have started building a report. It takes a default color combination or palettes which are predefined on the Power BI side. So in this, you can see that the colors which are used is one of this for each ledger. But yes, there is a feature that we can use some other palettes also. So this is basically you can see that it's a shades of blue, whereas this has the background as a black. So every template or theme can be different and we can use across our reports. We can also create our own themes based on our own design or color combinations we want. For this particular example, let's take a theme which is provided by Microsoft in our lab, and if I import it, then you see the colors got changed. You have facility to override that data colors. So if I click on the bar and if I go to the format section, you will see data colors, and I can override that theme with this. So I have that facility to play around with the data colors. But yes, you can also use themes for making your reports very nice. Let's try few other templates. So this is one, blue shades. If anyone wants colorful one, then let's go for this, and this will give you other filters. This is one feature I wanted to show you. Another one, let's say we have many slicers, okay, and when we create slicers, you must be aware that the slicers size might not be same. So some slicers might be bigger, some smaller. So the simplest way is to convert everything drop down. So I have country, and for this let me take year as one of this, or date. So this is list. This is not the right example because it is in text, it is not considered into this. But let me take manufacturer, and you see I have list of manufacturer. Now it's always better to add. Now see, the country has very few items in list, but let's say it has 100 of items, so it's very tedious to select particular value to scroll down and go. Instead of that, you can go to three dots and say search. Now search bar will come up and users can easily search for respective value. Now it can be a single value, multiple value. You can do that using fine tune that using selection control. So single select or multi-select. Also, you have option to select all. So if I do select all, you will see all. Let me clear this. So select all as well as other item values. Let me also make it drop. Now you can see that if I have 5 different slicers and if I want to make same size, then it may be tedious one. But if the visuals are of the same type, let me copy paste and make it more some values. Let's say this is showing me category and this is giving me segment value. Now you can see that the alignment is not correct. So best way is to select all slicers, go to format, and there is a option called as align. Now you can go and say top align, and as this is all visuals of the same type, I can go to format pane and I can resize height to my wanted, let's say 80, and it will make a equal size. Also, if equal spacing I need, I can just go to align and say distribute horizontally equally. So now it is equally distributed. So this is one handy tip you can use to create while creating your reports. I have shown you.
One
Yeah.
second, sorry to interrupt
Mm-hmm.
you. There are a couple of questions from Shu in the chat window.
Yeah.
Is there something that we can show or we can talk about it?
Yeah, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. I have just shown you about one particular values, right? So yes, on the legend section, you can go and change particular value. Okay, this is okay. Let me, when the database is refreshed with more current data with all of the report roll forward to use the current dates you or would like take to
Yeah, so that is possible actually. The two
Yeah,
things.
that is possible using like many features are there. One recent feature is in the slicer when we create date, okay, and over here filter we can advanced feature we can say greater than or equal to. This is one way we can do this filter, as well as we can keep roll on last 12 months data or 6-month data based on that. Yes, Raghwa, you were saying something.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that that's the most common requirement in many reporting, right? So you always, whenever data is refreshed, and you will have a daily refresh, and it is preferred that you always point to the latest date so that they can look at what has changed. So that sort of thing can be done within Power BI. One feature is advanced filtering. Then you can also use DAX calculations to make sure that report always points to the current data, the latest and greatest. And for rolling forward view scenario also, you will use DAX functions in a similar way.
Correct. At background, we will create a rolling how many months of the data you want to show, and we will link that with our fact table or date table.
Like a moving window, if they want to see last 9 months or 10 months, so that is very much possible.
Any more questions?
Yeah, you wanted to show something else, Prashant?
Yep, I have 5 minutes, so I will share more. So we have talked about QA. So we can insert QA for our users so they can also interact or create their requested reports on fly. That's it from my side, Raghav.
Yeah, well, thanks, Prashant. Thanks for showcasing a lot of things. Much appreciated. Yeah, in case if we have any more questions, please let us know. We will try to answer that. You can also reach out anytime offline as well. We can answer your questions. So we have a couple of polls we'll be showing you here. Please spend some time responding to them, and then we'll hand it over to Bill for further discussion. So I just launched a poll. Please respond to that. Okay, I'm launching one more poll. So with that, we are done with the polls. Just before I hand over to Bill, a quick summary of what we have covered today. So we covered a bit about Power BI, what Power BI is and what are its capabilities. We also talked about the labs, right? We covered end-to-end scenarios through 5 labs. These are very basic things that we need to know for deploying or building a Power BI solution. Also, one thing we forgot to mention about is the scenario. We didn't talk about the scenarios. So Van Astel was the focus today, right? We were doing a lot of we are building reports taking an example of Van Astel. So Van Astel is a fictitious company. Is a manufacturing company of electronic goods. They sell the electronic goods across the US and several other countries, right? So that was the motive of this workshop. And based on this information, we are making some analysis on how Van Astel is performing overall, what is its market share, and how it compares to its competitors, right? So that's what the scenario was. I apologize if we didn't cover this initially, but thanks for all your time. One is, though we used Microsoft content here, we did not follow exactly the same pattern because knowing that this is a virtual session and 4 hours is too long, so we had to narrow down some of the items, but we hope we covered the essence of it. And hopefully you got what we tried to convey, and you could make best out of it. And anytime you can reach out to us. Thank you. And Bill, over to you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending today's session. And in addition to that, Thank you, Raghava and Prashant. We really appreciate your work today and in helping us understand Power BI just a little bit better. Some great information today, and as all of you know, data is very prevalent and growing at a very, very rapid rate right now. But more importantly, it's what is required in order for us to be able to make fact-based decisions for ourselves and for our organization. So it's extremely important, and we want to make sure that we're doing absolutely everything that we can to fulfill your needs today. That includes adding a free 2 to 4 hour Power BI analysis session or workshop, if you would like, and or some email follow-up where we can spend a little bit of time maybe talking about a Power BI proof of concept, or even some ideas that might lead to some Power applications as well. So all of those things are available, and we would very much like to hear from you in regards to those particular things. In order to be able to follow up on those opportunities, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is up on the screen, and while you're taking just a moment to write that down, I'll also let you know that I will be following up here today with a brief email to each of you, providing you with a copy of a link to the recording so that you do have that information available to you as well. That's probably the number one most requested thing that I have coming out of these type sessions. So with that, we really appreciate your time and your attention today. We know that it's hard to set for 4 hours, but we hope we've provided some great information and content to you folks. Thanks so much. We appreciate you attending. Look forward to seeing you on our next session.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.